Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today I would like to review The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 2, Chapter 18, The Mines of Mandalore, or how I would rather call it, The Helpless Wanderer. Warning, spoilers ahead. So we kick off with the android fixer lady with her funny little helpers. She's doing her thing, scamming customers and dealing with Javas. Mando arrives, and the first thing he says is that his current ship is more than what he knows what to do with. I'm not sure what's that supposed to mean. Wasn't he smashing those pirates like a badass in the previous episode? Anyway, the kid does a wonky jump out of the ship, and I'm also not sure if it's supposed to be showing his slowly improving grasp of the Force or is just a shitty gimmick. In any case, the execution isn't there for me. They of course mention Boba Fett, and then Mando proceeds to tell her about his most recent side quest. It turns out that the part he needs is really hard to find, as was mentioned in the previous episode, and she basically persuades him to take a random crappy can of bolts on the mission instead, sending him away with the infamous phrase. The entire interaction feels a bit rushed and pointless. He arrived to her with the specific purpose of getting a hard-to-find part for the only droid that he trusts, so he can restore it and get the assistance he so very much needs on this critical mission. But she swindles him into taking a random shitbox in just 5 minutes. How is this supposed to be making any sense? So we're en route to Mandalore, and we get more fatherly talk. I think these are some of the best moments in this season. The showrunners should be focusing more on this. He's in a position where he is a single dad abandoned by his own tribe and without a home, and he wants to show his child the right example, taking no shortcuts, and show him the way. That would be interesting to watch instead of this poorly written satirical mess. So they arrive to Mandalore's orbit, supposedly a hostile planet that doesn't look all that hostile from space, just covered in a bunch of clouds. The atmospheric entry is a bit rough, but still looks more like flying through some bad weather than trying to land on a planet that's supposedly completely unlivable and had its surface destroyed by the Empire. They land, and the substitute shitcan is made to do its job, getting a rock sample from a nearby cave entrance. And somehow even this simple scene is fumbled. Is Mando using a radio to talk to the droid? If not, how does the droid hear him through the cabin glass being a few meters away from the ship? If he is using the radio, then why can't he have the droid narrate what it sees and does as it moves out of the picture? The droid then disappears from the radar after entering the cave, so Mando has to go and retrieve it. And keep in mind, he still hasn't received any confirmation from the droid with regards to the rock or atmosphere samples. And he still decides to get out of the ship and retrieve the droid. He doesn't even need a spacesuit. How hostile is this planet if he can just wear his regular attire? The helmet seal. How the hell is helmet seal working? How does it seal if it clearly looks like an open helmet? Where is the air tank and an airline? If Mandalorians have the tech that is so advanced, then why the hell did Darth Vader have to wear all that bulky armor and that infamous rebreather? Why was the Empire only interested in the destruction of Mandalorians and not using their clearly superior tech to its own advantage? Back to the episode. So Mando goes into a cave where the local hostile creatures attack him. He uses his black Jedi sword, which he apparently is shit at, and for some reason doesn't want to use other weapons that we know he's pretty decent with. But he kills them anyway. I guess rubber suit muscles don't add much strength to those things. And the droid apparently was just simply knocked over while functioning just fine, and it wasn't the radio they were using earlier, otherwise the droid could have communicated with him. So anyway, they return back to the ship and check the atmosphere, which apparently is okay. Based off of this alone, Mando decides the curse is a myth and goes back into the cave to reach the mines. They see an underground city in ruins and proceed to go deep while saying yet again they are on their own in this place, as if normally they have a crew on standby just waiting for a call. Eventually they find a mine entrance and Mando sees a helmet in the sand that turns out to be a trap, so he gets taken. And the kid hides, follows and tries to help him out, but unfortunately has to escape as the Force isn't strong enough. It's interesting to me that the kid is walking and not doing those jumps anymore, and when on the way out, one of those feral things attack him, and that time around the force is strong enough to smash it. So the kid cannot summon enough force when it's a matter of saving its parent figure, but can do when it's a matter of saving itself. This basically means that the kid is already aware that it doesn't need Mando for protection and is simply having him around for a company and maybe to get as much information out of him as it deems necessary. So the kid comes back to Bo-Katan for help with the rescue, and she is eager to do so. They go back to Mandalore. The planet is actually quite beautiful. There are some rough clouds, but on the surface there is clear air, the sun is shining, and there seems to be no wind either. Some crystals on the surface and local predators, but nothing that warriors as strong as Mandalorians cannot overcome to rebuild their home. Also, if Mando is a badass warrior and still got captured, why is she going straight after him? Without any recon and seemingly no prep or assistance. Okay, she lost her followers, but she still could have secured some mercs at least. She's royalty after all, and it's gotta be loaded. So she goes in, while the droid stays back at the ship, a completely useless character in this episode. And Boca immediately takes her helmet off when inside, just to reminisce for a minute. So she's not afraid of an ambush? This is a hostile territory for all you know, as your friend has been captured here. Shouldn't you be on high alert and keep your mouth shut until you know for sure that it's all clear? Let's take a step back for a second from this episode. When writing the script for this review, at this point I realized how much my perception of this TV show had changed. You see, when I was watching seasons 1 or 2, all these little errors and inconsistencies were still there, but they didn't bother me. Why though? Why something I paid no attention to before is irritating me so much now? Here's why. Because I no longer care about the story. I'm no longer interested whether Mando succeeds or not, because Mando, the kid, and the predicaments they end up in are no longer exciting, interesting, or even meaningful. A hardcore mercenary with a moral code going against incredible odds to save a mysterious child while getting assistance from unique and interesting characters is gone. Now it is a random guy with a cute kid running around the galaxy doing some errands pretending like they got it tough. I would be remiss, however, not to finish this review, so let's move on. Bo-Katan and the kid go down to the mines to find Mando. She, of course, chats out loud as if they are having a stroll in the park. They find some rubber suits and she easily deals with them, and the episode switches back to Mando. The thing that captured him takes an extreme amount of time to get out of its big mech and proceeds to drain him, quite literally. And it is somehow slow enough and loud enough so the kid comes back with Bo-Katan, have their little stroll down the memory lane and dispose of some rubber suits, all without being noticed. And the sense of time and distance is completely absent from this episode. Also, if this thing had set up a trap and now has a captive that something, and that something being the kid, tried to rescue before, why does the captor not set up more traps to secure its prize and defend its lair? Why is the assumption that something won't be back to try and rescue your prize again? So Boca attacks the thing head-on and gets knocked down. Luckily, the Darksaber is nearby and she wields it like she knows what she's doing, and so the thing gets stabbed quickly. So she then goes back to sort Mando out while the thing gets into its big boy machine, and Boca has a chance to showcase more of her badass fencing skills. You go, girl! You would think she learns this time that maybe it's worth killing the little thing that controls the machines, but no, she just leaves it be, and of course, this time it doesn't come back. Anyway, she makes Mando a little teacup of soup, and he regenerates like he's a Superman taking sunbath on Earth. And he is hellbent to proceed with his mission, so Boca decides to help him out. They eventually get to the destination, and while she takes a proper mock out of the sign and the place, he proceeds to complete his mission, getting into the waters. He either falls down or is pulled in by something and goes down to the bottom, so she has to dive and rescue Mando while also exchanging some looks with the mythical beast. So basically, they both accepted each other's beliefs, thus uniting their people. The end. But before I go into the summary, here are some more remarks. I find the music in this episode quite underwhelming when compared to seasons 1 and 2. The music used to be very well written and placed, and thus significantly adding to the experience. In this episode, it feels more like a generic soundtrack from the YouTube audio library smacked in for ambience. Not to say that the YouTube audio library creators make bad music, I have mad respect for all creators, but the sound quality in Season 3 is way lower than that of Seasons 1 and 2. Anyway, let's wrap this up. As I've mentioned in my episode 1 review, I greatly enjoyed Seasons 1 and 2 of this show, but I also said that if the second episode delivers the same poor writing and atmosphere as the first one did, I would stop watching this show and only acknowledge Seasons 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian. And that's where I am today. I don't like that the great characters I used to sympathize with are now turned into senseless dummies. I don't like that the writing has become so poor that I start picking up on many little inconsistencies. This show has turned from a great event in the Star Wars cinematic universe into yet another mumbling mess. I hope it gets better at some point, as both Mando and Grogu deserve it, but I'm not sure I'm gonna be there to see it. Instead, I'm going to watch something that doesn't irritate me. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you really do, subscribe and get notified whenever a new video goes up. I look forward to reading your opinions about The Mandalorian Season 3 Episode 2 in the comments section, and do let me know if there is a movie or a TV show you would like me to review. That is all I have to speak of today. Goodbye.